Okay, wait a few more minutes for people to come onto the call here. Probably recovering from Memorial Day activities. I'd say let's get started here. All right, welcome everybody to our weekly Law of Attraction Roundtable call. Today is May 30th, 2016, and happy Memorial Day to everyone in the United States. My name is Kevin Young, and my wife Suzanne and I are facilitating the roundtable discussions. Our company is Personal Success Programs, and we host webinars, workshops, and coaching programs based in the Law of Attraction. So we're located in a suburb of Detroit, Michigan, in a little city called Novi. We host these free online calls as a way to build a global community of Law of Attraction practitioners because we believe that the more people who understand this naturally occurring law, the better it's going to be for everybody on the planet, including us. So we're glad that you're part of the community, and thanks for joining us. A little bit of housekeeping. Just relax and be comfortable. Eliminate distractions if there's anything in the background there. Keep yourself muted if you got any background noise going on. If I see noise popping up, I'll certainly mute you out, but I'll unmute you if you want to ask a question or participate in the discussion. There's a little raise hand button on your screen. You can click that if you're on screen. I'm not sure if the phone has one or not, so you just have to jump in and chat. We're slightly changing the format of these calls to introduce a topic at the beginning and also to open up the discussion so that it's a little bit more of a roundtable as well as Q&A. If you got questions, we are certainly going to answer them. We'll do our best here. But please feel free to jump into the discussion because that's where we get the best energy flow here, is when people contribute and participate. So all we ask is that you say your name first. If you're not on screen, you don't want to come on screen, which most people don't, then just say your name before you start chatting so we get to know what your voice sounds like. This workshop is being recorded and will be emailed out in a link to the people who are on the call after the call. Typically takes at least an hour for it to shoot out. Most importantly, I want you to have some fun here because we're all about churning the energy up and having a good time here, particularly because it's Memorial Day and we're full of food and fun already. The future calls are going to be held on Mondays. 7 o'clock is going to be the target time, but coming in June and July, because of some other activities we have going on, we're going to shift them to 7:30 calls. So that'll go out in the announcements, but just in case you're online want to join us, it'll be 7:30 to 8:30 in June and July Eastern Standard Time. For more information about us, just visit personalsuccessprograms.com online. Everything you never wanted to know about us. All right, any questions before we get started here? Be sure if you want to talk, be sure to unmute yourself. You should all have a mute button there on your screen or on the phone. I think you'd have to use your own mute. All righty. So today's topic is called Going General, and that applies to Law of Attraction, of course, as most everything is that we're talking about. The idea is that Law of Attraction is about building momentum in a given direction. So as your thoughts continue to perpetuate over time, you build up momentum in that given direction. Most people are not aware of this because they're not very tuned into their own emotions, their own guidance system. So as a result, they tend to get an energy going in a direction they don't want, typically something negative, and before they know it, their head is full of negative thoughts, because that's the first level of attraction, Law of Attraction does. Every 17 seconds, you bring in a new thought stream on whatever emotion you're on, and then after that, 68 seconds, and it's even less now, according to the teachings we follow, physical things start to show up that match the emotion that we're on. So momentum is a very important component of understanding how law of attraction works. And you want to catch your momentum early on before, if it's heading in a negative direction, you want to catch it before it gets going too fast. Sort of like the car going down the hill, it's harder and harder to slow it down the faster it goes. So this principle called going general helps you to, it's a different way of approaching your thoughts. When you realize you're going down the slippery slope, getting into the negative, people call it the hamster wheel effect going on in your brain, and you want to stop that. Going general is a way to pull you out of that. It happens automatically when you fall asleep, or you meditate or do something to distract your mind. But in general, once it gets going, it's really hard to stop if it's gone pretty far. Now, on the other hand, if you're going positive and you're having a really great day and you're focused on the things that are important to you and your life is going well, keep focusing. We want you to not go general. Be specific on the positive, because then you attract things that are in the positive realm for the whole day. That's when you really become a deliberate creator. Your focus then becomes something that manifests things that you want, not only the feelings, but the material goods. And that's when you've closed the loop between your thoughts and your feelings and what's manifesting. So this is for when we get into the negative spin cycle and can't seem to get out of that rut. So there's a few techniques that you can use. Just the idea of being general instead of specific is a starting point. So specific, you're talking about a subject and you're thinking about a subject and you're dwelling on a subject. To go general, it's off of a subject if you can. You sort of pull back if you can. One of the things I like to do is I like to think about softening and broadening my focus. So I'm not sharply focused anymore. I'm softening it and I'm broadening the focus. So I'm kind of seeing the bigger picture. I'm pulling back out of the mess for a moment. Sometimes seeing a longer time horizon. Maybe you've got a money situation, if you're in fear about money, pull your head back and say, do I need the money this very microsecond? No, you never need it right in this instant. There's always time. You can have a broader perspective. And over time, things are always going to work out for you because the energy is always moving in a positive direction. So that's one way to go general, a way to pull out of the energy. Excuse me. Another way is what we call distraction. And that's where you literally get off the subject, go take a walk. Go think about something else for a while, something that you have access to that makes you feel a little bit better. And try not to be too focused about anything. Get your thoughts out of a focused way of thinking and get into a more soft and general way. And then I like the phrase, stop, drop, and align. For those of you who follow Law of Attraction for any amount of time, alignment is simply the process of moving your emotions up the emotional scale, whatever that takes. So the important thing is that when you feel the momentum happening is to stop. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking, just stop and get some perspective. And then that, just by doing that, can slow the momentum until you can get some idea of where you want to point your focus or how to soften it. Suzanne, did you want to add anything to that?
Oh, I think you did a great job. Yeah, going general, just like what you just said there right at the end, where it's really just catching your emotion when you feel it's not feeling good, catching it quick, and getting a new perspective, going general, backing up on it, getting an aerial view, a new perspective that feels better, and or looking at something else. But I think you did an excellent job in describing
All
what going
right.
general means. All right, you got my vote.
All right. Yeah, I've only taught this about 1,000 times. It sort of flows out of my mouth without my brain thinking. But thank you. All right, guys. If you want to talk about this a little bit, if you have any questions about going general, techniques, application, jump right in. Or if you want to just get into Q&A, we are ready to go. Just click your little hand button to raise your hand if you want to ask a question. And for those of you on the phone, just speak up and say your name, and then we will start talking to you. So who is the brave one wants to jump in first? Go ahead and click your little hand button. Don't be shy. I see a bunch of people on the call here. The right one's going to click their hand first. There's one right there. All right, Donna, be sure, excuse me, be sure to unmute yourself. All right.
Hi,
Hey, Donna, how are you?
good. How are you?
Fantastic. Happy
Can you
Memorial
guys
Day.
hear me okay?
Yeah, speak up just a little bit.
Okay. Um, I don't know where my speaker's at actually.
Oh, you're
Um,
doing good. We can hear you now.
okay. This kind of fits with what I'm my question that I was gonna ask.
Perfect.
Um, so I don't think I need to give a lot of detail, but somebody did something that really bothered me. So when I start thinking about it, do what you're saying. I try to change my thoughts about it so I don't stay on that topic. But my question was, do I, to straighten out the problem, would I confront the person, or not confront them, but maybe have a talk with them, or do I just align myself and let law of attraction work out the details? Or does it matter because of the situation? Would it make a
What feel?
difference?
Yeah. No, thanks. Good. That was very clear. So, what feels like the right answer for you?
Well, I want to take the better way and just let law of attraction handle it because I feel like if I talk to them, they're either going to deny it or I'm going to get more angry and then I'm going to get more into that energy and I don't want to. So I'm not sure. I don't know if it depends on the situation or just how, I guess you're going to say, how do I feel, right?
Well,
What
that's
makes
where
me
it
feel
starts.
better? Yeah, which one would make me feel better?
Yeah, that's always the starting point.
So I could resolve the problem without talking to them.
Well, the problem isn't about them.
I know it's me. I know.
Well, that's not blame, and for everybody on the call, never feel bad about attracting something you don't want, because that's just part of step one, which is the creative part of the process. What's where we get clarity and define the things that we want more clearly by having those experiences. So based on that, Donna, what would you think is the clarifying piece that comes out for you of this, if anything?
Clarifying piece. Hmm.
Yeah, is there anything that because you went down this path and weren't aware of it at the time, which we never are when we go down those paths, so you're not alone by any stretch. What do you know now that you want more strongly that you didn't know that you wanted before? Like clarity, for instance, or resolution to feel better, stuff like that?
I don't know how to answer that.
That's okay. So
Um,
what? Uh, so the going general process, and maybe it does tie in a little bit here, is really handy in the moment. So when you feel like you're slipping down the slope and you're thinking, your
about
brain's
the
going crazy.
situation. Yeah.
What's that?
When I'm thinking about that situation.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that's the time when we start to get specific, and you let that go more than 17 seconds, and now the slope has begun, so to speak. So that's where, and it sounds like you did a great job about distracting yourself and getting off the subject. So softening the energy a little bit, uh, trying to take a broader view. So if you could take a broader view on this, a longer timeline, incorporate more about what you know about this person and maybe what might trigger them and why they would react this way and so forth. What would you come up with, or what comes to mind when I ask that question?
I hate to say
Hmm.
it, but I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Um,
So are they inherently evil, this person?
no, they are not inherently evil, but I think they did it. I think they knew what they were doing. I think that's why it upset me so much. It's not like it was
Hmm.
an accident.
Okay.
So
And
it
so
was like
you,
on purpose.
okay. Okay, so they did something that feels like it was done to you without you having done anything to attract it? Because that's where it gets slippery.
Well, I would have attracted it in my own energy field, but I don't didn't know, wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, it's
So
just that simple. That's all.
Yeah, so I was thinking because I don't want to approach them because, like I said, I'm scared I'm going to either be snotty or I'm gonna, not like what they say to me or
Mm,
something.
yeah.
So I was trying to figure out how I could use law of attraction other than diverting my thoughts, how I could use law of attraction to just let law of attraction work it out.
Well, diverting your thoughts, how would it feel if we said managing your thoughts?
Okay, that sounds better.
Okay. And so if you were to manage your thoughts in a different way that would leverage the law of attraction to get what you want, what would that look like? Or how would it feel?
Um, Well, I'm not sure if I have to manage my thoughts just about that situation, or I probably have to manage my thoughts about everything all day long, correct?
Well,
Which
it makes
seems
for a more deliberate life.
right, but it seems a little harder.
Well, it does at first, and you bring up a really good point that I'm sure everybody on the call can relate to. When we have areas in our lives that we were taught to be somewhat negative and head in a direction that didn't serve us, we didn't know any better. That's what we were taught. But the direction itself, uh, once we get going in that direction, it's effort to change the direction at first because you have law of attraction shoring it up and bringing you negative things. So that's the momentum going in a negative direction. That's why it's important to manage thoughts, to soften it at first. So it is effort when you start down these paths of things that are still bothering us to be more deliberate and more intentional about what we're thinking so that we can start to slow the momentum down. So there is effort involved. You have to be more deliberate about it. But it doesn't take very long of doing this and pulling back, taking the broader view. They say take the high road. Well, that's what that means. It
Okay,
means seeing things from the source perspective. What would the God source, pure positive, loving energy think about this person or this situation? And sometimes then moving into that, it allows us to soften, and that inherently slows the momentum. And then as we practice this a little bit more, then it gets easier. And then
okay,
over time, then law of attraction is your buddy because it's now bringing you the things, it's helping you feel good. And again, this applies to everybody on the call and everybody on the planet, not just you. So you're in good company. So yes, deliberate management of our thoughts. And if we do it by paying attention to how we feel and we care about how we feel more importantly than anything else, than even being right, because that's, for me, that's certainly the hardest one at times.
yeah,
Right, is that I'm going to feel good no matter what, then now we've intentionally shifted our direction, and then the energy can start flowing in that direction.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Is there anything specific that you'd want to try moving forward with this person, or is that enough?
Oh, with the person, no,
Yeah,
I don't want to try
in your
anything.
in your
Oh,
mind, I apologize. Yeah,
yeah.
my bad.
Um,
In
no,
a different way.
I think the biggest thing, like you said, the hardest thing is like staying in that good feeling place as things happen throughout the day or week or whatever.
Well, that's you bring up another really good point. It is hard during the day at times if you don't get off to a good start.
Hmm.
So remember, momentum resets every time we sleep or we lose consciousness. So for everybody, the most important, the easiest way to get your momentum started every single day is be very deliberate when you first wake up, because you got to reset, because all the energy stopped when you were sleeping. And so when we wake up, before we get going on the first thoughts, and they're usually the thoughts about either last night, what we were thinking before we went to bed, or they're the thoughts about our day and thinking about worrying about all the things we're going to do. Take that critical leverage point and do something very positive in that energy time. So we say meditate. We say uh, take a walk in nature, or give yourself some time to reflect and relax, do yoga, exercise, list of positive aspects. There's a bunch of different things that we can do, and you get to pick what feels good. If you'll be deliberate, even 15 minutes every morning, again, this is for everybody on the call. Be deliberate that very, very first moment of the morning, but right after you get up, go to the bathroom, and that's it. and then see how your day unfolds. And then it's a lot easier to kind of tweak it and bring it up because you were already going in a positive direction. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes a lot of sense. I think I should probably be, and we just had that at the club, the positive aspects, and I don't know why I forgot about it so fast.
Well,
But
but
I
like
did.
it's okay. It's like for everybody. Uh, we've been trained decades to be victims, right? And to be feel powerless in situations. So it takes time, and that's why it's really important to be kind to yourself. Everybody, be kind to yourself, particularly when you're new to this information, because it's radically different from what the people around you are doing. And so you don't have a lot of support. That's one of the reasons we're doing these calls. That's why we do the Billionaires Club meetup group. That's why we do workshops and coaching. Is people need support in this right now,
Yeah.
in a community and so forth. So don't be hard on yourself. It will get easier, and you're doing really great. I've known you for a while, and you're really doing fantastic, Donna, particularly compared to the population at large. So pat yourself on the back and say, good job, Donna.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Great conversation. Great way to start opening this up here. All right. I have a comment from Kelly. Kelly, did you have a question you wanted to bring up publicly, or who else has something they want to talk about here? Just go ahead and click your hand. Don't be shy. We have somebody who's all the way from Spain today.
Yeah, welcome.
So that's a question. Go ahead and raise your hand or just go ahead and speak up. Be sure to take yourself off mute before you go ahead and talk. You can't get it wrong. This is a perfectly safe and supportive environment here. And whatever your question is will apply to the other people on the call as well. So don't think your question doesn't matter, because it really, really does.
I'll say something.
Yeah, go ahead. Who is this?
This is Angela.
Hi, Angela. How are you?
Hi, how
Hey.
you doing? I wanted to kind of comment on what Donna was saying earlier. When people do things to you, sometimes it's not about you. It's really what's going on with them. Because I go through it all the time. I get people that pick and they do certain things against me. And what I had to understand is that sometimes when people see you doing things, they wish they could see it in themselves. So it's not about you. It's really what's going on with them. And that takes the blame off of you and put it back on them.
Excellent.
Yes, yes. And could we slightly change the word blame to responsibility?
Responsibility.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay, we can use responsibility. Blame
Okay.
sounds a little bit more better for the people that's been picking on me, but
Good point.
I had to understand that it has, because people are seeing me do well, and you got the people who are picking and the people who are saying things negatively behind your back, and sometimes it would get me upset, and then I had to say, okay, wait a minute, Angie, it's not about me. Maybe they're seeing in you what they should be seeing in themselves. And that helps me understand and not put the blame on me where I feel bad. Because I went through that cycle before where it's like, why am I so different? Why can't I keep friends? Why can't I keep female friends? It's not about that. It's what people see in you that they can see in themselves. And they don't see what they see in you in themselves, so they take it out on you.
There you go. That's right. So perfectly stated. Law of attraction is simply the law of rendezvous. We rendezvous with energy that matches us. And so everybody around us, we're going to see elements of ourselves in them. So if you don't like who's in your life, again, this applies to us as well as everybody else, then it's great information. Law of attraction is never punishing us. The universe never is being judgmental or critical. It's just a law. And so everything is a mirror of what we've got going on. So if there's people or situations in our lives that we don't like, that don't feel good, it just means we've had that feeling already going on inside of us. So what Angela did so well is, if you're familiar with the emotional scale, and if you guys are not familiar with it, please go out and get the book Ask and It Is Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks. It's a critical book for understanding law of attraction. The emotions, if we're down at the bottom in feeling powerlessness or fear or rage, moving up the scale is essential to getting ourselves going again. It's part of the going general process, is moving up the scale. And so blame is pretty high up on that scale, believe it or not. So if you're feeling powerless, if anybody, and this is for everybody in the call, and then blaming them for what's happening feels better, then you're going the right direction. You're going up the scale. And so eventually then we want to move out of blaming them for anything to accepting them as they are and loving them, even if we can get that high. But that takes time. And this is, again, being patient with yourselves. So you're going the right direction, Angela, and thanks for sharing that. That was a really important point. Was there anything else on that you wanted to say or to ask about?
That's pretty much it. Like I said, I had to learn it because it took me a while, because I blamed myself and I felt like I was the victim all the time, and I had to find some understanding in it, and that was my approach. I had to look at it as it has nothing to do with me.
That's right. Yeah, it's not their problem is not your problem, as you said, unless you make it your problem.
Right.
And if it's okay, I would just add a little bit to that.
Okay.
And that is that it's about you simply in the respect that emotion is inside of you, right? And so that's okay. That gives us the power, then the awareness to say, okay, if this angry person is coming at me, then there's still something in me that's at that frequency that maybe, and moving up to blame is really important. And what can I do even farther than that? How can I take it even farther? So is there anything that comes to your mind where you could actually take it even a step above that? And forgiveness might be a little bit too much to reach for. Maybe it's okay. What do you think?
Well, I'll put it like this. I have an older brother who despises me to the core. And I tried to understand why he hates me so much. And I think it's because his sister, and I'm the only sister besides 6 brothers, that his sister has accomplished so much in her life, maybe the things that he wished he could have done, that his sister has done with her life to be successful. He wasn't able to do that or couldn't do it. I don't know. But honestly, I go through this now with him. So what I had to do to calm myself down is to take myself out of the equation and say, you know what, Angie? This is his problem. Don't take it upon yourself, because you'll get upset. Your blood pressure will go up. It has nothing to do with you. Whatever his problem is has to do with him. But whatever you do, do not take the blame for anybody's issues or problems that they could resolve or do things on their, I don't know. I've been battling that for the past 3 or 4 months, and I have to count to 20 100 sometimes. But I don't blame myself for it, because my accomplishments are my accomplishments. And
yeah, good for you.
For people who have not done that, it's like, to me, like I said with jealousy, I don't understand that emotion. I don't understand why people get jealous of each other because you see this person doing well. You can do it too. It's that simple. Maybe it's not simple, but that's the way my mind is thinking, and maybe it's not that simple for them, but I know I go through that with my oldest brother, and I mean, it's been going on for years, and it has been getting out of hand the past few months, and I just try not to get upset and take myself.
Yeah, you get a handle on it.
Yeah.
So good for you. And I felt actually, when you said maybe it's not so simple, I felt your energy soften in that.
It did, because it's very sensitive to me, because for my oldest brother to make me feel guilty about my accomplishments is wrong.
It's a reflection, so it's okay, and that's something that'll help you to own. It's not right or wrong, it's just a reflection. So that's what gives us power to be aware that, okay, there's still something, because if he's still in your life with that kind of energy, then there's still a little bit of something that you could, inside of yourself, work on cleaning up and moving up. And so you did it. In that statement, I felt it soften. He's doing the best that he can, based on how he was raised, the experiences that he had. He's just taking it out on you because you're the nearest whipping post. But if it wasn't you, it'd be somebody else, because he can't find a way out of this energy that he's stuck in.
Right.
He's got that momentum going. And so as you said perfectly, it's not your fault that he's that way. He's just using you, and maybe you got used to it, so you still kind of anticipate it. And by anticipating it, we attract it. So this is another technique that for everyone on the call that we can use to help deflect these kind of things from occurring in the future. What often happens is we have in our minds the experience that we had with a person in the past. And so when we know we're going to run into this person, or sometimes it's even sudden if they just call or whatever, our anticipation tends to kick in, and then guess what? We prepave. We start the momentum in the unwanted direction. We bring ourselves down the scale, and guess what we attract? Right? The same situation. So something that you could do specifically, Angela, is when you know you're going to have to run into him, for whatever the reason, take a little bit of time and see if you can find the broader way of looking at things around him. Feel sorry for him. And just remember that it's not about you, as you said perfectly, and that you're going to hold the space in love if you can, or some place that's higher, so that no matter what happens, that you'll have a better outcome with him than you've had before. And just see if your momentum can actually dominate. Because one of two things has to happen with law of attraction, and this is for all relationships. Whatever the vibration is that we hold, that's the only kind of thing we can attract from other people and other circumstances and everything else. So if you get good at holding a more positive, loving vibration, and you build that momentum by thinking about it, think about it, feel it, just immerse yourself in it, then either he has to come up and match that new feeling that you have, or he can't run into you. Law of attraction provides a shield around you, and he'll just bounce off. He won't even be able to come close to you.
Well, as quiet as it's kept, I've done that. I've been kind to him. I have spoken to him on a loving basis, and it's still the same. So what I had to do was back out of it. I have to stay away from it, and because that's the only way I feel I can stay positive and stay up on that vibration ladder. Because if I don't, then I'll be right back, and we arguing back and forth, and the bitterness is still there. So I just drew myself out of it. I'd rather not even be in his zone, in his environment, because it's not working. And I've tried that. Trust me, I have. And it's not working. Yeah.
Good for you. So as long as you're honoring what feels the best for you, and if withdrawal is the best thing, then there you go. Law of attraction will be your friend and will keep him away if you just maintain your vibration. So you're doing great.
Okay.
Nice job. And good luck.
Thanks.
All right. All right. Great conversation. So who else would like to chime in on the subject of going general or relationships, or if you have another question, something you want to discuss, don't be shy. Just go ahead and raise your hand or just jump right in if you're on the phone.
I can make a comment.
Please.
All right. Sometimes when you're having trouble with a person, and we've got a couple of examples which all of us have gone through, whether it's a brother or not, as you start thinking about the whole situation, it's oftentimes what I did to help myself through difficult relationships was I'd ask myself, how am I describing the situation to myself? Because the words I'm using to describe the situation will affect my emotional feelings about it. It puts me on the emotional scale in some place. So for instance, when Donna mentioned the fact that she kind of had a feeling that this person did it on purpose, that doesn't feel good. So if I caught myself doing that, or this is just for anyone, it's not Donna right now, but just anyone, if you feel like you're now the victim and they've done it on purpose, what's another way you can describe that situation to yourself And then, Angela, you gave the perfect example of talking about, well, you know what? They're doing the best they can with where they're at. They're probably just having a really bad day, and they took it out on me. It's not necessarily about me. It's what they're feeling at the time when they do stuff, what we think to us. But I like to reframe or rephrase or get a new perspective when I feel myself talking about a situation that doesn't feel good. What I like to do is reword it. And when you said something about, when you first described your brother, he hates you, you used the word hate. Well, on the emotional scales, obviously that's really very close to jealous. So you but then when you began to realize, wow, I don't know how people get jealous, and you started looking into yourself, and that's when I love that you did lighten up. Well, maybe it isn't so simple. And what you've done is really worked on yourself, Angela, brought your vibration up, your general set point. So naturally it's feeling stronger, the distance between you and your brother. And the law of attraction will always separate you, and it doesn't matter who made the decision, you did, because it felt right. So either way, the law of attraction seems to work it out to keep two very unequal vibrations away from each other. And sometimes you think it's not going to happen, but either you'll have that good feeling decision to move away from the situation, or they will. But either way, it seems to always work. We've seen it happen all the time.
Always works
where
out.
You think, oh, this is never going to get resolved, but somehow it does, because the law of attraction is always working all the time.
Yeah.
That was my thoughts on it.
Good point. All right, so who's next? We have a hand up here. Looks like Melissa. Be sure to unmute yourself and go ahead, Melissa. What's your question or comment?
Hi, thank you. Glad to be on the call.
Yeah, speak up just a little.
Okay. The situation I have coming up in the next few days is being in a cabin, camping with family members that are all on a very different level, a lot of negativity, and I'm just trying to prepare myself to get my armor ready and be ready for and try not to get drained and set back by all of their negativity. If there's any tips that you can offer on how I can, other than going for walks and trying to stay distant much of the day, what else I can do to try to not bring myself back down and feel drained.
No, it's good for you, first of all, for having awareness that this was going to be a potential landmine for you. So that's the first step. What we were just saying a little bit earlier, that we often get into a situation and we're already knee-deep into it before we realize that it's going the wrong way. And then momentum's underway and it's just about impossible to pull out of it. So you've already accomplished the first step, which is awareness of the feeling. So you're already anticipating what's happened in the past, and so good for you. So that's the first step. So now that you've got a little bit of time, and so when was the camping going to start?
Thursday through Sunday.
Okay, so you still got a couple of days there, about 3 days. Yeah, that's great. So that's plenty of time to do some pre-paving. So as we were just talking about, the idea of pre-paving is simply, and Suzanne's words, is changing the story, how you want the outcome to be versus how you expect it to be or you anticipate it to be. Because we all have that default anticipation, and you brought it up there about, well, there's negative family members and they're going to be difficult to get along with, and rightly so. And so then what's the, if you were to be able to step up and out and kind of look down on the whole week that you're going to be with them, what's the outcome, what's the optimal outcome that you would want from a feeling standpoint?
I would say the closer I can get to peace and just lots of laughter, that would be ideal, and no snarky, comments or just, I guess, yeah, just no. Just what I do want is lots of laughter and just peace overall, everybody getting along.
Very nice. And what I just heard you do was you caught yourself making comments about what you didn't want.
Yeah.
And you pivoted it to peace and laughter. That's beautiful. That's a wonderful technique. So for those of you who are not familiar with the pivoting concept, that's where you take something unwanted, or you're phrasing it in what I don't want, and then you pivot it to be phrased in a way of what do I want? Because when we have the unwanted in our minds, even if we say I don't want that, we're still focusing on the thing, and the universe doesn't know the difference. It just reads the energy that's most dominant coming out of us. If we say I don't want to have snarky comments, for instance, then snarky comments are going to happen, because that's the energy that we're thinking about when we say we don't want it. So you did a great job of just pivoting it right there. So maybe you could take that to the next step. If you want to do a full-blown pivoting list, this is something we do in our Law of Attraction Foundations workshop. And that's where, and it's very, very powerful. And that's where you take a piece of paper and you draw a line down the middle, and on the left side you title it unwanted, and on the right side you title wanted. And so what you want to do is write down the unwanted aspects of the subject that's coming up, or whatever, if it's a relationship, or in this case the camping trip. What are the possible things that could go wrong? And just list them. Snarky comments could come up, maybe criticisms. We don't need to go into that energy right now, but you know what those things are. And then you create this list, and then once you're done with the list, take a deep breath, shake off the negative energy, because you will have built some momentum by that time. And then on the right side, you list the exact opposite of what's on the left side. So if it was snarky comments was the unwanted thing, then on the right side would be maybe what would be something you would say that would be the opposite of that, Melissa?
Opposite of snarky, I guess.
Maybe upbeat comments, or
Yeah,
understanding?
positive. Just
Okay. Okay.
I guess praise, but that's not the best word I'm looking for, but something in that area. You're talking about some of your accomplishments, and you're hoping either they're going to just stay quiet, not say anything bad, but the positive, I guess, would be just congratulations, praise, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there you go. And how does it feel when you say that?
Much better than snarky comments.
Good.
I think it goes back to what you were just talking about earlier, though. It's so easy to take it personally so quickly when you're in the moment. So hopefully this pre-paving will help, so I'm prepared.
Yes. So let's finish up then. So the rest of the process then is to go down the list and create and write only the opposite on the other side of the list. Don't get emotional. Don't get attached to the feelings. Just look at the phrase on the left and say, what would be the opposite? In a positive way, how could I say this thing and switch it to a positive thing that explains what I do want? And then once you're done with the list, tear it right up the middle. Okay, and so in the left side will be the unwanted side. Okay, crumple it up in a little ball, and we recommend burning it or throwing it in the trash, and be symbolic about it. Put it in your mind that, you know what, we're going to just let this go now. And so that is it's a really powerful mental exercise to let go of the unwanted. And then now you've got a list of all the things that you want. And so your job then is, for the next 3 days, is every morning when you wake up, think about going on this trip and immediately focus on that list. This is what's going to happen to me through this next week here. These are the things that are going to happen, and here's how it's going to feel. So always get the feeling about what's on that list going in your mind. Immerse yourself in how wonderful it's going to feel, that everybody's having laughter. It's going to be a peaceful time. People are going to be in their own field. And if for some reason somebody isn't able to participate like that, they will not be in my energy space, because they will be bouncing off. If you're in that field, they simply can't rendezvous with you. So that's how powerful you are. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you. I will do that.
Great. Well, please, if you feel like it, let us know how it goes.
Thank you.
I'll be rooting for you.
Thanks so much.
All right. Great discussion on relationships so far. What we've noticed on every one of these calls is that they always take on a personality around a given subject. And so love that this is evolving the way it is. Not that we have to stay on this subject, because anything is game. So who's next? Who wants to jump in with a question or a comment or add to the discussion? Just go ahead and click your little raise hand button, or if you're on the phone, go ahead and jump right in. We got about 15 minutes left here. I still have a few people who haven't jumped in and asked any questions or shared anything, so now is your chance. You got about 15 minutes. One of the things about being a trained coach is I can stay in silence for a long time. So much good energy on this call. Appreciate everybody being willing to take some time out on our Memorial Day weekend to have a conversation today. Relationships are arguably one of the hardest things to get through because some people we've known for decades, like family members, and we've got all these grooves worn in our psyche, and unwearing those and creating new ones that feed us in a positive way is sometimes very difficult to do at first. But the momentum is what it's about. Get the momentum going and catch it early. And even in the night before, we often suggest go to bed in a state of appreciation. Even if it's not on the subject of the relationship, just find appreciative things. Create a list if you want to. We also like lists of positive aspects where you simply pick a subject that uplifts you and then list all the positive aspects of that subject. Could be your dog, could be walking in nature, maybe it's about the special person in your life. And go through this right before you fall asleep, and then you have even more leverage for when you wake back up the next day. So it's all about building momentum and getting some leverage going here. So who's next? The lines are open. And if you don't want to talk on the phone or over the internet, you'd rather just text, put your message into the chat window, go right ahead and I'll be happy to read it off and then answer it, or Suzanne will.
One way, I think whenever I have difficulty with anyone or family member, I think what I know for sure is I always like to give them the benefit of the doubt. Whatever they say, I look at it in a different way to allow myself to not take it personally or to not think anything other than, it's okay. This is where they came from. They had a negative week, and this is what they got to vent right now. It just helps me feel better, and that's really all that we're working on here. Allowing yourself to feel better. So,
somebody there quite loud.
Trying to get on here.
Is that Tatiana? Were you? Oh, she's gone. There we go. A little noise going on there. So you were saying, Suzanne?
Nothing. Just the idea of any relationship, when it doesn't feel good, look at the other person and give them the benefit of the doubt, because it brings your energy up instead of, getting you stuck, focused on whatever might be feeling bad. Benefit of the doubt is a good way to think about things.
Yes, people are always doing the best that they can with the awareness that they have. That's one of the things that really got my attention the first time I heard it. I think it was Tony Robbins many, many years ago. People are always doing the best that they know how with the awareness that they're in the moment. So if they're not doing something that we like, then you just got to know that they are trying. They're just not doing the best they can. They are doing the best they can, but they're not doing what we want necessarily. But still, they're doing the best they can. So give some room for forgiveness. All right, who's next? We got about 11 minutes here on the call. So jump right in. Just raise your hand, or if you're on the phone, go ahead and jump right in. Ask a question, or even if you just have a comment on the conversation, we'd love to hear your voice. there's a hand raised. Looks like, and I hope I don't get your name wrong. Is it Gonzalo?
Hello. Pardon. Hello.
Hello.
You listen me?
Yes, we can hear you. And can you say your name?
Perfect. Gonzalo.
It is Gonzalo. Okay. And
Gonzalo,
Gonzalo,
perfect.
yes, and you're from
Um,
Spain, aren't you?
yes, from Spain.
All
Pleased to
right.
meet all of you. And my thought is for the commitment of the law of attraction, and the positive energy, and all those people around us that are negative oriented people. Any thoughts about being commitment to don't getting support for other or others, and being commitment to ourselves. Do you
So
understand?
I think so. So you said you're around some negative people a lot.
Yes,
Okay. And
yes.
that's
And
okay.
almost all the society, almost all.
You said society in general?
Yes,
Yeah.
and people like you, and go ahead and stay positive, and working, coaching, law of attraction, positive, and any tips for us?
Any tips on how to do that? Is that what I heard?
Yes, yes, yes,
Sure. Sure. Well, we have been talking about that, and thanks for your question. We have been talking a bit about some different ways to approach that in general. In terms of society, or really anybody else around us, um, it's and this is if you're fairly new to law of attraction, it's it's hard to accept at first, but it's really none of our business what society is doing. If they're going to be whoever they are, if they're going to be negative, then we got to let them be negative, because the alternative is to get mixed up in their energy, right?
yes. It is true. It is.
And then what happens when we do that is we give away our energy. And so we start to slide down the emotional scale, and now we're down in the energy that they're in, and now nobody's helping anybody, which I think you
It is
understand
true.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So the techniques we've already talked about a bit would probably do still apply. Now, so for instance, the pre-paving, that is starting before the momentum gets going in a negative direction, every morning is really important. Find something that you can do that, and from what little I know about you already, because we've privately communicated, you're a very positive person. I get that energy from you.
Yes,
Yes,
yes. I
yes.
think so.
Well, I feel that energy. So good for you. So you're off to a great start.
Okay.
So the next step, in my opinion, is to worry less about how society is doing.
Yes,
Right? That's the harder part, because we feel sort of obligated, and we feel like we should be helping people, and we should be out there lifting up the world because it's not doing well. But it's not our job to do that, because every one of those billions and billions of people who are on the planet all came into their bodies with very intentional paths that they were going to go down. They had very specific ideas of how they wanted to experience life, some more positive, some more negative, because they wanted their own experiences. So when I understood this at first, and it came through the Abraham Hicks teachings, which I think most people are familiar with on this call, it was a real relief that I didn't have to go out and fix people, and I didn't have to go out and save them, because they're not lost. They're on their own journey. So it gave me some relief to know that it wasn't my job to save anybody, and so I could feel better. And now, as I feel better and pursue the things that light me up, which is coaching and training, as hopefully you can tell by this call, then now I'm radiating that energy, and I have powerful positive momentum when I remember that and when I do those things. And then I attract the people who are ready to come up to the level that I'm at. So the best teachers,
Perfect.
does that make sense?
Perfect. Absolutely.
Okay. So I hear that you're on the perfect journey, and I know you're exploring some of these things to do for yourself, like either coaching or training and so forth. So if my only advice, as I was just saying, is to continue to detach from needing anybody to be different, and love them as they are, and know that they're perfect as they are, and the best clients are going to come to you if you can hold that loving space, and you're going to have a blast. You're going to have a great time doing these new things that you're doing, and you'll help the people who are ready for your message. Doesn't get better than that.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. And the thing that I'm a little concerned or worried is the topic of friends.
Mm-hmm.
You will attack new friends that visit you with your mindset, with mind like it.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't?
So you said
Bit by
friends?
bit, you will attract mm, more friends, more positive
Yes.
friends. Yes,
Yes.
perfect, perfect,
Yes.
perfect.
And that's a hard thing to do because family and friends, you get used to them, and then some are negative, some are positive, and then you're going more positive, and the negative ones don't like that. And they'll try to pull you down and keep you back where they were. So it's a hard thing is to let go of the friends that simply are not on your journey anymore. And even family members, as our friend Angela was saying earlier, and then embrace because that when we do that, we make space for the new exciting friends. And you just made a bunch of friends today on this call, so good job. Yay. See, you're already doing it. Great job, Paul. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Very helpful for me. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And I'll follow up with you privately later based on some of the questions you set out, okay?
Okay, perfect.
All right. Thanks so much
Th-
for calling in today.
Thank you. Here for all of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So we're getting down there on time, boys and girls. This has been a wonderful conversation. So much good energy. I just love these calls because we just attract such great questions, people willing to jump in and manage their own vibration and do what it takes to create a great life for yourselves. And by doing that, by definition, you have to be influential in a positive way to the people who are around you. So you can't get it wrong by being selfish. So always put your own energy first, your own feelings first from within, bring yourself up, and then you'll be radiating this powerful positive energy to the people around you, and you can't help but uplift the world while you're uplifting yourself. It's always a win-win when we look at it from that direction. All right, guys, well, let's start our wrap up here. We are going to, there'll be an email that will be sent out. Comes out in about an hour or so automatically with the link to the recording of the call. So if any guys want to listen back to the call, you can do that. As I said, the future calls are going to be held at 7:30 in June and July, starting next week, because we got something else going on that will interfere. And then after that in August, we'll go back to 7. If you want to know anything else about us, personalsuccessprograms.com is our website. And if you want to contact us personally, please do so at any time. We love talking to you guys, and we love supporting you any way that we can. So I think that's it for today. I hope everybody has a fantastic week, and maybe we'll talk to you on the call next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. All right.